Hello, I hope you are enjoying the holidays so far. Thanks for tuning in because we have an exciting episode for you with homemade Christmas decorations, and we continue to give you advice on how to transact successfully in land and property. Let's begin with our property of the week, Zahara Apartments on Ngong Road. A double-lock front door leads into the lounge-cum-dining area with brightly painted walls that warm up the room. The open-plan kitchen has an island that can be used primarily for food preparation while doubling up as a table for quick meals. Provision has been made for a 4-burner cooker that remains to be fitted and is included in the overall cost. Soft-touch drawers and shelves provide ample storage space, display and functionality. A gas line, electric line and plumbing line have already been installed, so the gas cylinder is kept here. Adjacent to the kitchen is the multi-purpose utility area where you can do your laundry, hang clothes and iron. Down the corridor, a wash area is outside the bathroom. The shared bathroom and toilet walls are adorned with beautiful ceramic tiles on the wall and on the floor. An instant water shower is in place. There is a reliable supply of water, and backup water is provided by an underground reserve tank. The spare bedroom is big enough to fit a double-decker bed, and like all the rooms in this house, it's decked in beautiful ceramic tiles and has numerous sockets. The master bedroom is also spacious with massive wardrobe space. Provision of TV ports has been made in all the rooms. Brown ceramic tiles grace the staircase and the corridor. A unique touch to this house is the massive windows covering the stairway. Not only do they give you beautiful views of Karen and Ngong Hills, they bring in maximum natural light so that you don't have to keep the light on during the day. There is one parking slot per unit. This neighborhood is safe and secure with close proximity to socio-economic amenities such as the Junction Shopping Mall, schools and hospitals. A residents' association is already in place. Zahara Gardens is strategically located off Ngong Road opposite the showground and next to Fast Energy petrol station. It takes only 15 minutes if you are driving to get to the CBD, and it's only 50 shillings by a matatu. This 2-bedroom house is going at 7.5 million shillings and 13 units remain for sale. If you buy the house to rent, you will charge a monthly price of 30,000 shillings. Up next is a special Christmas home essentials segment. The festive season is undoubtedly the most exciting time of year. It is a time that brings out our inner child and the accompanying love of color, laughter, relaxation and bonding with our loved ones. No wonder Christmas decorations are so vibrant and exciting, because they reflect this mood. Unfortunately, they can also be expensive. So today we're going to show you how to make Christmas ornaments from the comfort of your home.
Today we're going to be making a Christmas angel, an ornament to hang on your Christmas tree. It's going to be a stuffed ornament. You start off with a manila paper. You just draw out the outline of the whatever stuffed ornament you want. Is it a star, an angel, a circle, whatever. So in this case mine is an angel, so I'll just draw the outline of an angel singing hallelujah in the Christmas theme. And then once you've drawn it out, you just cut along the lines. Good, so we've cut it out. We have our Christmas angel. You look for the fine side, the side that's more pretty, and fold with that fine side on the outside. And then you use pins to pin on your stencil. This is something you can do with your kids, but because we're using pins, you have to watch the younger ones. For the corners and the curves, you just cut around so that you work with a smaller fabric. You just leave a big allowance, and then you'll make it perfect when you're working with a smaller piece. Cut it out. So at this point, you take off the stencils, but still retain the pins, so that the two pieces of fabric, because you folded your fabric, you'll have two pieces of fabric. And try and make your stitches as even as possible, exactly the same size, so that it's pretty, whichever way you look at it. So you stitch all the way around. When you get to this point, you just leave an allowance to allow for the stuffing. So now you create space in between your two pieces of fabric, and we're going to do the stuffing. Let's start with a small amount so that it goes right through to the angel's head. And to push it through, you can use your scissors. To make the angel pretty, you can look through your old blouses or shirts and look for some buttons. And they do not have to be coordinated. If you look at ours, we're going to sew on some buttons. But now we need something for it to hang on the Christmas tree. So for that, we will use ribbon. You just cut off an amount that you think is sufficient. That's enough for it to hang on. And your ribbon can be any color. The Christmas colors, again, are red, gold, and green. But I felt I wanted mine to coordinate, so that's the one I'm going to attach, again with my needle.
Angels are a great ornament because they symbolize the birth of Christ. Stitch more than one to represent a choir of angels, and use this time to teach your children your favorite Christmas carols.
What you start with is by cutting out strips of the paper. You can use a ruler and a pencil just to measure the length. It doesn't have to be very thick strips. They have to be slightly smaller.
The star is another major feature in the Christmas story, as it represents the biblical Star of Bethlehem that led the three wise men to worship Christ, the newborn King.
So you'll need 6 strips of each color. What you start by doing is making a cross with the strips. So you can start with the green strips and you make a cross like that. Because the first strip, the long strip, is under this one, the next strip has to be over. So you have to make sure you put the glue. Manila is a good choice for paper because it's not too soft that the star will look flimsy, but it's not too hard that it can't hold the glue. So when you're done, you have 2 sets of papers, and then the next step is to glue the sides together. It's good to make your own decorations because it's something it's cheaper, first of all. And you can use material that is lying around the house, and it's a fun way to get the whole family involved in the whole Christmas. The pegs are good because they really allow the glue to stick. And what you do is you get them and then you put them on top of each other, and you make sure that the ends go through, see, on top of each other, and then you pass through the straight ends through the circles. You need another strip, which is going to be the one you're going to glue onto, or you can staple it onto. You just make it around like that, and then you can put the glue. You can really do it in any color you want, but there is your Christmas star.
Incorporate your traditional roots into your decorations with vibrant prints using material like kitenge and kangas to create African fabric hanging ornaments. Other do-it-yourself ornaments include festive candles painted in the popular Christmas colors of green, gold, red and white, Christmas trees made of paper plates and toilet rolls, and hanging interlocking rings made from either paper or pasta from your kitchen. Follow the link on our Facebook and Twitter pages to see how to make other decorations. Don't break the bank. Simply look around your home and you're sure to find the required supplies. Next week, we'll show you how to make even more ornaments, including Christmas cards. If you didn't take notes on how to make the decorations, don't worry, because this show will be available online tomorrow. Let's take a short break. Welcome back. Let's continue the interview which we began last week with Maurice Omolo, a registered and practicing valuer and estate agent with the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya. Which factors must I consider when I'm looking for property to buy or to sell?
First of all, when you're looking for land, you know what you want to use it for. Am I looking for land to build a house for my own use? Am I looking for land to invest, to put up a commercial? So it has to be suitable for what you want to use it for. So the land has to be suitable, first of all, to your needs. And then secondly, the land must have a clean title. The land must be recorded somewhere, county council. It must be recorded by the Lands Office, Survey of Kenya. Just get a bit of history. It must have some history, unless it's land that has just been alienated, and you can actually follow the process of alienation. The location has to be right.
Is it advisable to speak to neighbors first so as to get an idea of the area?
If you don't talk to your neighbors and you don't talk to people and tell them that you actually have an intention of purchasing that piece of land, then you'll never know. So that when you now suffering your losses and you ask your neighbor, hey, how come you're here and you don't have any issues, but I have issues ABCD, I'm just your neighbor? And the guy will tell you, you should have asked me.
What other red flags should buyers be aware of that conmen really like to use?
Deal with registered valuers, deal with registered estate agents, and even LSK as lawyers, deal with the registered and practicing lawyers. Because so many people purport to be lawyers, so many people purport to be registered agents.
Right.
Okay? But because there's a lot of hype about property, everybody has become a real estate expert. But when something goes wrong, all right,
yes,
who do you go to?
Should the buyer fail to complete his payments in the stipulated time, does the seller have every right to sell the property to somebody else, even if the deposit was paid?
What normally happens is there's a grace period. and usually, if you have a good lawyer, they'll bargain a good a long enough grace period for you. So usually it's around 21 days after, you know, the expiry of the date that you're supposed to have paid. Okay? And after the 21 days, you can be added another 15 days. So depending on how your lawyer, your conveyance lawyer negotiated, you know, that grace period.
Yes.
Okay? Because, you know, at times things happen. Today you have the money and you're sure you're going to put it down, and then something happens that is an emergency, and you use your money. But at the end of the day, get prepared to lose 10% of the money put in.
Right.
Administration costs.
Yes. But is it possible for either the buyer or the seller to back out of the transaction once it has already begun?
It is possible. And a good lawyer will craft a good sale agreement that will have a clause that will take care of you if such a scenario occurred. And typically, of course, when you put in the money, you definitely have to recognize that some costs have already been incurred, okay? Especially by the seller. So he also has his own, you know, professionals behind him who, whether the transaction goes on or not, he has to pay. So that cost has to come from the deposit that you put in.
Yes.
Okay. And at times, depending on how you relate, how the two parties relate, the buyer and the seller, you can also always sit down and just have it's not cast in stone.
What factors must a seller specifically consider before selling his property?
He must get value for money for his land. And secondly, nowadays, even for sellers, you know, it also pays to understand what are the sources of finance, that the person who wants to buy your land has the financial muscle to actually purchase it. Okay? If you're dealing with an institution, a company, you know, it doesn't hurt to ask for audited accounts. It doesn't hurt to ask for bank statements. You know, in that process, you've already signed NDA, so you're obligated not to, release any confidential information about the other party.
Yes.
You know, you're just doing your due diligence. You know, so that at the end of the day, the money that comes to you is not money that is being cleaned by somebody, or is not somebody who wants to buy land but doesn't have the money. As the owner of the property, you have the property, and it's the responsibility of the buyer to do his due diligence on your property. The only due diligence you can do is on the value of the price of your property, and the source of finance of your buyer.
Most properties are sold on an as-is, where-is basis. What does that mean?
It means that the owner of the property is just protecting himself. So, I'll give you a good example. You're buying an old property. There are utility bills to be paid: water, electricity, telephone, and all that.
Yes.
If you don't know that there is an outstanding bill, by the time you've signed and you've given out the money, you've actually bought the property. And then when you want the meter to be changed, you go and find that there is a bill of 10 million. You know, the buyer will tell you, as is, where is.
Oh my.
So what he's basically telling you is, take your time to do your homework, so that by the time you're buying this, you understand that you're buying this property as it is. Okay? At times you're buying old buildings that need to be assessed by building surveyors. Okay? Get a building surveyor to assess it, just to assess whether it's a property that is habitable, okay, or has a longer life, because the property could be 50 years.
Yes.
On average, a residential building should not go more than more than 40 years. If it does, maybe another 20 years. Commercial building, you're talking about 60 to 70 years. So maybe that property was built 80 years ago. Okay. So are there any repairs and maintenance that have increased its life?
Right.
You know, you have to ask yourself, am I going to live in this house as is? Is it fit for me to live in? Because the person who is selling the land to you is not going to renovate it for you. He'll tell you, I'm selling it as it is. If you want to bring it down and do your... So you have to understand the repercussions of buying as is, where is. Where is, of course, land is definite. So the most important bit is as is.
Do you have any final words for our viewers?
Our final words will be, when you're buying land, when you're buying property, take your time. Be very patient. Make sure you do your homework. Don't let the owner of the property or the broker or the agent of the owner to tell you that if you don't buy this in the next 1 or 2 days, then you lose the property. You'd rather lose the property that you've not put in your money than lose the property and your money. Because your money is precious, and real estate, you know, anything real estate is a considerable amount of money.
Yes.
You've saved, you've borrowed from friends, you've gone to the bank, you know, the hustle, and you've managed to get your finances right.
Yeah.
And then all that goes down the drain just because you did not want to use a registered estate agent who was going to charge you 50,000.
Right.
And now you've lost 50 million. If you don't use 10% of the value of the property to do your due diligence, then if you lose your property, then you have no one but yourself to blame.
Thank you very much, Maurice.
Thank you for having me.
There's always something new to learn. I couldn't have said it any better. Let's get into the Nsoko Property Guide next for classifieds, showing houses to rent. These all-en-suite spacious modern apartments are located along Kamiti Road near Kahawa West. The Cabro paved driveway provides ample parking for residents and visitors. Other features include a shared swimming pool and children's playground. There is a centralized security system in place. The monthly rent is 40,000 shillings. This magnificent master and suite apartment is located in Roysambu Estate off Thika Road. It has ample parking space, close proximity to socio-economic facilities like shopping malls, schools and hospitals. A perimeter wall is in place and security guards are present 24 hours. The monthly rent is 30,000 shillings. This exclusive master and suite apartment boasts of 24-hour centralized security arrangements in a compound surrounded by a perimeter wall with an electric fence. Each court has a children's playground. The Cabro paved driveway and the basement provide sufficient parking space for both visitors and residents. The monthly rent is 32,000 shillings. That wraps up today's show. Let us know how you are spending your holidays. Talk to us on Facebook at Nsoko Property Show, and our Twitter handle is at Nsoko Property. Until next week, same time, same place. Goodbye.